Hello fellow mutants, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to go over some theories about how Rise of Skywalker's Force retcon brings back Ben Solo and Rey New Jedi Order movie. And before I get into this, on one hand I would like for Ben Solo to still be around, sure, because then that could be a gateway to what like what would have happened if Anakin survived and events of Return of the Jedi. What would have things been like for Anakin in a way through Ben Solo? If that makes sense. And it will have also created a way for someone to help Rey hone in her abilities and be a better Jedi, be a more powerful Jedi. So let's actually give this a read, shall we? Um, and more importantly too, before I continue, with Ben Solo surviving, still living at the end of Rise of Skywalker, it would have been truly a Rise of Skywalker. Cause then, not sure you could say to a certain extent it was about Ben Solo casting away Kylo Ren and him returning his to his title as Ben Solo, his birth name, and that being the Rise of Skywalker. The Skywalker rose from darkness, sure, but wouldn't it been more interesting if he survived, created way more windows after the Rise of Skywalker if Kylo Ren or Ben Solo survived? Sure, he probably would have had to answer for a lot of his crimes, and it might have taken him some years to get for people to see, yeah, this guy changed. But I believe that would have made a very, very compelling story. And maybe they are going to try to do that with this. Who knows? But let's give this a read. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker may have killed Ben Solo, but it also offers a way for him to return in Rey's new Jedi Order movie. As a Force retcon in Star Wars The Force Awakens would allow Ben Solo to return in Rey's new Jedi Order movie. The film will pick up 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker and focus on Rey rebuilding the Jedi Order, given the monumental task of training an order that was destroyed twice already in the Skywalker saga. Rey will need all the help she can get, especially from the spirits of Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, and all the other Jedi she connected with on Exegol. Having redeemed himself and made amends with Rey, Ben would also have a crucial role to play in the new Jedi Order movie. Star Wars characters returning from the dead is nothing new, and it does immediately lead to mixed results. The Rise of Skywalker brought back Palpatine far too late, and with little with no explanation. And the Book of Boba Fett was fairly underwhelming. However, examples like these suffer from execution, not concepts. And there is a lot to gain by having Ben return to the Rey's new Jedi Order movie. It would be a great opportunity to give the character more screen time, more explore the Force through unique concepts, and experiment with the new ways to bring back a character. But that can only happen if Ben Solo somehow returns. It's gonna be amazing how they explain it, how Ben Solo can potentially return, other than Rise of Skywalker, not Rise of Skywalker, but was it the World Between Worlds? Sorry, Ben Solo is Star Wars' most interesting new character. We also have Finn, I'll have to say, yeah, Ben Solo is debatably the most interesting sequel trilogy character. So I'll give him that. The biggest reason Ben Solo must return in the Rey's New Jedi Order movie is that he is Star Wars' most interesting new character in recent memory. A young villain modeling himself after Darth Vader was a great idea, as we have that villain be tempted by the light of the Force from the very beginning. It was fascinating to see Ben's pull towards the light, only to delve deeper into the dark with each choice he made. This also allowed him to serve as a fantastic foil to Rey. When Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley have incredible chemistry in every scene they've shared. Killing off Ben in The Rise of Skywalker was an absolute waste of the character, especially since it was too similar to Anakin Skywalker's death. Themes like redemption in Star Wars are a little well worn at this point, so it would have been far more interesting for Ben to live with his mistakes and actively work to make things right. Exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I was just saying. He would have been a perfect ally for Rey, passing on what he had learned from Luke while making sure that no one else falls like as he did. Thank you. Pretty much expanding on what I was saying towards the beginning of the film. Video. Sorry. It would have mean that Skywalker bloodline could continue whilst Rey continues the Skywalker name by embracing it as her own. Don't like. I feel like I speak for many fans here, but I feel like if we are to accept Rey as a Skywalker, then she would have had to marry a Skywalker. Keeping Ben Solo alive would have made Rey saying, "I'm Rey Skywalker," towards the end. Have it be like 2 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker. Ben Solo and is married to Rey Palpatine. If she went to if that woman came up, say, "Who are you?" "I'm Rey." "Rey who?" And besides taking the name Solo or Palpatine Skywalker, I feel like, yeah, there will be some backlash there a little bit. But it would have I feel like there would be a lot more fans okay with Rey taking the name Skywalker in a way. But then there would be some fans saying, "Why didn't she take the name Solo?" I understand that, but still, I think it wouldn't be a far-fetched idea if they had Ben live, be a few years after the events of Rise of Skywalker. Rey and Kylo gets married, and boom, it wouldn't be a far-fetched idea. I think fans would be more receptive. That makes sense. Anyways, for Star Wars to be successful in the new era, it needs interesting characters like Ben to explore the Force and pave the way for the future. Having Ben return in some manner would build off his story from the sequel trilogy and differentiate his narrative from many of the story arcs that come before. The most obvious way is for Ben to return as a Force Ghost, giving guidance to Rey directly alongside his mother and uncle, or even could appear as a vision in a place strong with the Force. And I can kind of see that happening. That's the makes the most amount of sense. I don't know if they would do that with Leia. Like with Leia, they will either deep fake her like they did with in the Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker, or recast someone that can embody the essence of Leia. She might not exactly look like Carrie Fisher, but can still embody who Leia was by the time of the sequel trilogy. And that makes sense. Anyways. Alternatively, the Rise of Skywalker Force retcon provided some more options for Ben's potential return. So the Force dyad transcended life and death. Rey and Kylo Ren were a Force dyad, opening up several more possibilities for Ben's return. Because Ben transferred the last of his life into Rey, it's possible that his spirit lives on through her. This is similar to what Palpatine was trying to do with Rey, but Ben may have succeeded without realizing. Such a feat would be fascinating to explore, especially if it offers different abilities compared to a typical Force ghost. Many Sith Lords would bind their spirits to physical objects, so maybe Ben is tethered to Rey, unable to move on to the netherworld of the Force until he redeems himself by helping her. I can kind of see that happening, since it's Disney. Another more shocking possibility was hinted in the book of Secrets of the Sith, which I actually have that book. There's this like book series where it has like the Jedi Path, Bounty Hunter's Guide, and the Imperial Handbook, the Rebels Secret Files. Is it the Rebel Secret Files? I don't think I have the books near me. I think it's like the Rebel Secret Files, and then the Jedi Path, and there's a one about the Smuggler Hand Guide. And each book talks about like their sectors. So like Smuggler Hand Guide, Smuggler Book, Jedi Path, Jedi Sith. What was it called? Secrets of the Sith, about the Sith. So I'm interested. Okay, like they're fascinating book series, and I highly recommend um getting that book series. It kind of gives you like more of a mind, like gives you a bit more of understanding of what each group was and how they thought. I think you get my meaning. Anyways, um, so another more shocking possibility was in the book of Secrets of the Sith. Or maybe I'm thinking about a different title that with the series. Anyways, where Palpatine notes that participants were capable of moving objects through time and space. Rey and Ben already demonstrated their abilities to move objects through space, but time is a more intriguing concept, one that has been more explored in Star Wars before. Star Wars Rebels introduced a mysterious place called the World Between Worlds, and Ezra Bridger used one of the time portals to save Ahsoka Tano from Darth Vader. It's impossible as it seems. As possible as it seems, this may hint that Ben will return in the Rey's new Jedi Order movie, thanks to time travel. That's I kind of alluded to that too, and I wouldn't be surprised if they also did something like that. I honestly wouldn't. Honestly, wouldn't. I hope they don't, but I wouldn't be surprised. Funnily enough, Star Wars has done a story like this before, albeit a non-canon one. The Lego Star Wars Holiday Special saw Rey discovering a time portal after the Rise of Skywalker that allowed her to travel through various points in the Star Wars saga. Kylo Ren appeared as one of the many characters throughout the timeline, and while it may have been a silly animated special, the concept itself is incredible. Star Wars: The Clone Wars explored how Anakin would react if he knew his future, so the new Jedi Order movie could do the same by having Ben actually come to the future. But that would be dangerous because if Ben Solo knew about his future, then when he goes back to the time that he's supposed to be in, he could make different choices that could alter the events of the sequel trilogy, and many fans would be happy about that. I'll be okay with that because the sequel trilogy is a hot mess. But like, what now we're going to have like Legends, which is like George Lucas era. The sequel trilogy was, well like those sequel trilogy that we got, then like what the alternate trilogy, as it was going to be referred to as the sequel trilogy, kind of creating a multiverse. And how are they going to pull that off? Are they going to like have the actors return who was in the like right? Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver to come back to film 3 more Star Wars movies, alternate versions of that, or are they going to do animated where it still be the same characters, but then they can get like different voice actors to voice them? And Kylo Ren was like a very integral part of the First Order. And I'm not trying like saying this that would be a horrible idea. I'm not a big fan of time travel in Star Wars, but like I don't know how good of an idea that would be. Um, Cause then like whatever your grievances towards the sequel trilogy may be, sure that could give Disney a redo, sure. But what if the redo is far worse than what we got in the sequel trilogy? What then? So I rather, as much as I not a fan of the sequel trilogy because I prefer like the prequels are my favorite, and I'll acknowledge that the original trilogy is the best, but the sequels are the worst in my opinion. It's like, what if this alternate trilogy, if you want to call it that, of the sequel trilogy, is even worse than the sequel trilogy? Then Disney will only be putting itself in a hole. But I also do acknowledge that it could easily fit more. It could easily fit better in the um, George Lucas era, and maybe that's where they will go. Maybe if they have a redo of the original trilogy by using this, maybe like still Ben Solo still goes to Kylo Ren, but for somewhat different reasons. The events of the sequel trilogy plays out differently. Maybe like still keep some elements of the original trilogy, like the original first one, the sequel trilogy in there. Not many, like Ray having father issues, and maybe keep the whole thing of her being Palpatine, working with Disney here, but have it where now in this trilogy there are hints of Ray being Palpatine, right? And maybe like Han and Leia were like better parents, and maybe they'll like them like Ben falling to the dark side made them so sad. Where yeah, maybe Han and Leia hasn't talked to you in some time, like in the movie. I don't know, and but in this version, Luke Skywalker is still around. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just and maybe Han is doing his own thing, and maybe because of Luke, Han gets back in the fold. Leia gets like maybe like that brings like unites Han and Leia, rekindles the flame that Han and Leia has. Han and Leia become a thing again. But then in the first movie, kind of have it play out like it's kind of similar tone to like the first movie in terms of Han gets killed by uh, Ben because he's trying to refer his son back to um, the light side. And then the second movie have Leia die, Luke die in the third movie, Rey being trained a bit more, and then besides having it be like 3-ish years, 2-3 years, have the timeline be like 5 to 10 years, and have like Ben survive after he gets redeemed, and him being the teacher of Rey. Boom. Essentially, better sequel trilogy. Anyways, I'm not even done with this article. But that's just my idea. Rey's new Jedi movie could feature Ben Solo's return. Whether Star Wars incorporates time travel remains to be seen, but it's still possible for Ben Solo to return in the Rey's new Jedi Order movie. Characters being haunted or guided by the spirits of friends long gone have always been a compelling aspect of the Star Wars franchise, and the new Jedi Order movie would be wise to honor that tradition. Ben's return would give him more screen time and benefit Rey's story as well. Examining whether being being contacted by all past Jedi, is a blessing or a curse. Ben Solo must return in Star Wars, and Star Wars Rise of Skywalker's first retcon may be how he does. I'm only gonna say this. If we do get the whole time travel and he comes back in time and things get like changed, I do hope like if we get like an alternate first on the sequel trilogy, and assuming that is better, I hope the timeline. I hope Disney sticks with that new timeline besides the current timeline that we have with the sequel trilogy, because it's a hot mess. But then that will also like create confusion too of which is which. So I don't know. But what do you guys think? I don't know. Like I'm like really conflicted about this. Because on like one hand I can kind of see it, and the only logical way I can see Ben Solo coming back is as the first Ghost. On the other hand, I don't want him to come back. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another, and may the force be with us all.